Yet, there is another hat, or authorial self, that one can take on when writing a paper in college in Rhetoric 1150. It is the scholarly self. This self is typically used in a paper to prove an argument that you have come up with on your own and should be published later on. Here you can see that research is put into the paper and is cited correctly. However, the author who has written this piece is not just reciting the information that they have gathered back to its reader, but is using it to prove their argument that they have come up with. In this article in particular, the author is trying to prove that overprotective parenting can lead to anxiety and other disorders later in life. As the student is no longer a student but is a scholar, the authorial self is being put on as a scholar. You can also see that the author is using particular wording and phrasing to communicate with their particular discourse community to prove their argument even more. As they are no longer student author, they now have put on the scholarly hat and just begun to prove their own argument rather than reciting the knowledge alone for a grade. This will be helpful in Rhetoric 1150 as you will be writing a scholarly article and trying to even maybe get it published.
So what exactly is a student authorial self? Well, it's another role or hat that can be put on by a writer throughout the writing process. When looking at a paper containing a student authorial self, it should be noted that the audience of this type of paper would always be a teacher or professor, and throughout the entire piece, the writer or student will be keeping the view of the teacher in mind. Therefore, the essay will be adapted in ways that the student is able to persuade the teacher of their argument. The goal of a student paper is to prove to their teacher that they have sufficient knowledge regarding the subject they are discussing. A great use of this type of authorial self can be seen in the award-winning essay, John Morse, A Small Price to Pay by Ben Woolman. This paper discusses Colorado State Senate President John Morse's attempts at passing stricter laws supporting gun control. As you read through his words, you can tell that this student chose his words very carefully. Using words like martyring, anathema, and zealous, it is obvious that Ben chose these words to make it appear as if his argument is more valid due to his extensive use of sophisticated vocabulary. The student authorial self Ben has chosen can also be seen through his frequent use of quotes and facts from reliable sources. He used numbers and figures to show his legitimacy in having an opinion on the topic, but then uses famous quotes of respectable people as well in order to really drive it home. Hopefully this lesson has cleared up any confusion one may have on the topic of what it means to take on a student authorial self.